Yo,
Here we are. Here we are.
got in.
Good stuff. Good stuff. How are you today?
Good, man. Hot, hot. 115 degrees.
115 in Arizona. 105 here today in Southern California,
Yeah,
where I'm
we
at.
got a few people in here already. Some journalists.
Awesome. Well,
Jones,
let's
one as well. What's up?
welcome, welcome. Don't hesitate to ask questions if
Yeah,
they want. It's in the bottom there. We have
yeah.
a really good episode today. Jam, tell them what you got lined up.
Uh, we're going to have a discussion about the early days, the DJ influences in San Diego. And that goes for club influence, parties, clubs, as well as radio. So, yeah, that's what we're
Nice,
talking
nice.
San Diego DJ history.
Yeah, San Diego DJ history, your early influences. This is going to be awesome. A trip back in time before my time in San Diego, which is awesome to learn more about because it's just a really big history that I think a lot of people don't know. So let's talk about it. The DJ influences, going back, one of your earliest influences. I believe you told me before, but go ahead and let's talk about one of the biggest influences on you. I believe it would be Gene Harris. And how does that fit in?
Yeah, well, another special shout out, ML the King. He was there as a DJ when I was doing my thing, so it's good that he's in the room right now. I know he's going to relate to a lot of things I'm about to say, but yeah, let's start from square one, even before Gene Harris. Let's just talk about me getting started, even as a DJ, even to pursue Gene Harris, right? So, shout out to my brother-in-law, Todd Colston, and his friend, Charles Gatling, aka DJ Quest. They were in the military together, and DJ Quest was from New Jersey, right? So he was a big DJ out there in club music. This was early 80s, right? So his friend DJ Quest got out of the military. My brother-in-law was still in the military in San Diego. So he flew out one summer with his two turntables, a mixer, and two crates of records, right? And so
Yeah.
at my brother-in-law apartment, right? So
Uh-huh.
back then I was racing BMX bikes, like really racing. Like I ended up racing for a factory that used to send me all over to national events and everything. A lot of people don't know that about me. I was all into all sports. I played all sports all year round, but I ended up when I was 13. I started racing bikes. Well, actually, yeah, around 12, I started racing bikes, and then around 83, I got the bug um, when he flew out to San Diego for the summertime. I used to ride my bike all the way across town, just to sit there and watch him practice at my sister and brother-in-law's house apartment.
Wow.
And so yeah, and I needed to work out anyway because I was used to riding far. That's how I kept in shape to race. So I used to do that every night during the summer. They gave like a couple parties during the summer. You know what I mean? Because he was out there, so all the military friends or whatever came, um, and I was like the youngest one in there. So I took all this in, man. And at the end of the summer, basically, it was time for him to go home, and they saw how much I was into it, riding my bike and just studying. And my brother-in-law worked out something with him, and you know what I mean, to get his turntables and mixer. Because back then, all the equipment came from New York. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You ordered it online. You're ordering your 1,200 turntables. All that came from New York. So he was like, "Here, man, here's some money. You can get you some new ones when you get back." And he left me like a crate of his records, right? And
Yeah.
basically, it was like, "Here you go."
Nice. Nice. Okay, before we go further here, this is already very interesting. So BMX. You were a BMX rider. That's awesome. I can't believe that. I'd love to see an old photo of that. I don't know if you have that,
Yeah, I have
but
those. I still have
we
all,
the internet needs that, man.
I
That's
still, I
that's
still have all my trophies too.
yeah.
All I had a whole room, a floor. Like I could fit my trophies on all over the floor in a bedroom. That's how many.
Wow.
I
Yeah, we
I had to sell them back to the track. Like when I stopped, and I
uh-huh.
just kept my biggest and most memorable ones. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
4 feet high trophies I still got
Yeah.
from events from when I
Nice.
used to fly all around. You know what I mean? So
Nice.
I
Well,
was
we
flying
definitely
airplanes with my bike as like a teenager. You know what I mean?
definitely need to see that. And then secondly, I remember for me what it was like and why I fell in love with the turntables. But what about you? I mean, like, if you're gonna go all the way back that far, what is it? What captivated your imagination as a youngster to actually try to do it?
Well, I mean, watching him, this was the early hip hop days, so I only had a couple people to look after, like Jam Master Jay and things like that, right? And then there were club DJs, you know what I mean, and the DJs on the radio. So, you know, I really looked at him as being kind of like that guy, right? And
Hmm.
for me to even study that, once I saw him in action, you know what I mean,
Hmm.
like mixing records, and I was a music lover already. So when I
Yeah.
saw, like, oh man, he's manipulating sound, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, and I was hooked. And a couple years later, I stopped racing bikes because I stopped when I was like 17 because I was 17 expert class, and that was the time when you're around 17. That's when you
Uh-huh.
decide to go pro if you race BMX, right? So I would have either went pro racing BMX bikes or went into the music, and I chose the music because of the turntables and everything. So, and
Absolutely.
I was playing the drums in school. I was in the band. I was a drummer, and so I had a drum set and everything. And that I sold the drum set to get a drum machine, and the rest was for that drum machine and me DJing. So
Wow.
which led up to me when you're talking about Gene Harris and the radio,
Hmm.
right? So we'll skip there and then we'll come talk about parties and doing clubs. But um, a lot of people thought I started radio like doing mixes, but I actually got my break on radio, local radio, by doing remixes, right? So like I said, I got a drum machine, sold my drum set, and I started uh, working on remixes and doing remixes. And there was a DJ called Gene Harris, by the name of Gene Harris, big DJ on the air, and he was on the air in the afternoon time, right? And so I didn't know what to do. I just got put it on cassette, like a couple remixes. I remember one was Mercedes Boy by the female singer Pebbles.
Hmm.
That was the first remix I sent in on a cassette. Didn't know what I was doing. I just sent it to the station and I put his name on it. You know what I mean? And like a week later, he reached out to me and he was like, "Hey man, I got your cassette. You know what I mean, in the mail, and I really like that remix. Is it okay if I play it?" And I was like, "Whoa, I didn't expect all that. I just thought he would call me and talk." But I was like, "Yeah, you can play it." So he started playing my remix on, drive time in the afternoon on the radio station. You know what I mean? And
Wow.
so I started doing more. I started working on more remixes, and that's kind of like I started giving him more, and he liked them. So every one I would do, he would put on, right? So that's kind of how my name started to get around. One of the big, on that other level of in San Diego by doing the remixes on the radio. So Gene Harris was the one, rest in peace, that gave me my radio break. And then I would say about a year later, that was probably 1987. I just graduated high school. Um, one of the other biggest radio air personalities on the radio on that same radio station, his name was Tayati. Rest in peace, Tayati. These were two of my mentors coming up as far as radio. And so Tayati started a show on Saturday morning called SOS Jams, right? And he brought students from different high schools in to learn about radio, but he had them host this show called SOS Jams, and they talked about school topics, what was going on, sports and all that kind of stuff. And they called upon me to do a mix for that show. I was the DJ on the show. So that's how I actually got my break into doing mixing on the radio.
That's awesome. Let's go back to your mailing the cassette in. I mean, really, if this doesn't inspire anybody, I don't know what is, but this is totally kind of like the "if you build it, they will come" type thing, because you literally were like, "No plan. I'm gonna email this dude, right, and send it to this dude." First of all, did you know that you were sending it to Gene Harris, or did you send it to radio station?
No, I sent it directly to Gene in care of Gene Harris because he was the one on the radio. He was that personality. So I was like,
Gotcha.
because he's the one. He's the DJ on the air. So
Gotcha. Okay. So that's how you knew that was Gene that you had to hit. And then the other question I have about that is, you know, what comes to my mind when I hear that you were making remixes at that age is, what about this technology? You said you had a drum machine. That's fine. You have assembled a new piece of information. So you've taken a record and you've, remixed the record on what? On a reel to reel. Like, how did you do this? Was it a live remix, or like how did you record a remix to send it in all the way back then?
okay. So my first remixes that I was doing on the radio was I used an Alesis HR-16. Man, I'm crazy. I still remember it. I don't know, but Alesis HR-16, and that's what I did. The Pebbles, Mercedes Boy, and I did another single by her too, and I used that. So yeah, the HR-16, and then I remember eventually I got a 808 Roland TR-808, and
Hmm.
I couldn't find a drum sound, a drum machine with that low kick, that you know what I mean, that resonating drum. And when the 808 came out, they were hard to get, so I had to look and look, but I finally found one, and so I added that to my arsenal. And this was all before the sampling, you know what I mean, drum machines, which we'll discuss well, we discussed it at the last time when we were talking about me getting
Hmm.
a drum machine. But
Thing
at this,
looks like a calculator. I'm looking it up now on the
yeah.
internet.
So,
Like, it
so
looks like
what
something that would be
I
on
do,
like an accountant's desk.
yeah. So what I would do, because I couldn't find the 808, when that first came out, the same place I got my Akai MPC-60 is where I got my Alesis, because I would be in there messing with all the drum machines, and that was the drum machine that I could get the closest to a low 808, because you can tune the drums in the Alesis, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
That's what I used to, like, and then I EQ'd it after that, you know what I mean, to bring it down even further.
Hmm.
But yeah, man, that's what's doing my remixes.
That's awesome. But okay, but still now still have questions. So you have piece A, piece B, right? So the record, how
I,
did you make it? How did you put it together?
on a Tascam 246 4-track cassette 4-track.
Mhm.
So
Wow,
4 tracks.
okay.
Learned how to do a lot with just 4 tracks. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, that's kind of cool, because like you really literally like where you bounce down at that point, right? Like if you wanted
Yeah.
to move.
My trick was when I bounced down, I didn't record the drums to tape. I let it synced with the Tascam. So when I hit play, it's everything started, right? So I was like live recording the drums, and then the vocals from the record and all that were the only things on the tape. You know what I mean?
Until you were ready to finish.
Yeah, when I bounced it down, and went straight, that I recorded everything live, including the vocals being on the tape. That was the only
Hmm.
thing on the tape was the vocals, and then like a dummy track that I would use to line up the vocals. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Hmm.
I would when I would record it, it would be like live instrumentation from the drum machine mixing with the vocals from the tape.
How did those two sync up together back then? MIDI, just traditional MIDI?
I believe it was a Simply track, a tone or a Simply track.
Huh. Wow. That's cool. Interesting. Very cool. All right. Well, let's keep it going with the influences. So with Tayati and SOS Jams, that was his show.
Yeah, SOS Jams. Yeah.
And 92.5. So now that's kind of your break in they asked you to make a mix. He was working with the kids in the school, in the high school. So you make a mix, you get on the radio. I mean, what's this like being being young and this happening? I mean, like, are you like so? Or you had just graduated school, so you weren't in high school at that time, right?
Yeah, I just graduated. Uh,
Hmm.
time when I was doing SOS jams.
Man, so who was the first person you called when you got a mix show?
I can't even remember. I was just a DJ, just happy to be doing all the stuff I was
Yeah,
doing. You know what I mean? Because
yeah,
you know, I was just young.
because
I didn't have
yeah.
uh,
There's
uh,
no social media, so I was just wondering, like,
I
there's no
didn't
social,
friends.
so
I was just doing it. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It
yeah.
wasn't. I don't know. To me, it was cool. Like when my stuff was playing on the radio. Um, and then I also was on radio on commercials because I was DJing the clubs and the college events. So
Hmm.
was a frequent on the radio, and then I was on the radio for doing remixes and all that. So I was just, you know what I mean,
Yeah,
everything
yeah.
most and doing mixtapes, and the mixtapes were selling at the mom and pop record shops and at the swap meets. It was just crazy, right?
That's
Um,
awesome.
so yeah, if we continue on my on the DJ influence part though, so I just talked about like how I got my first turntables and my first person that actually influenced me like that, DJ Quest. So the DJs that I kind of were my, I was their understudy in this whole thing coming up, even before, kind of that time, were DJs, but like, shout out to Mid City Productions. That was like the first DJ crew, real DJ crew I was in. Um, DJ Gill and King Arthur were a part of that, and we used to do house parties, event parties, clubs, just all kind of, you know what I mean, places. We would do, we would come in there and rock like 8 turntables. You know what I mean? We'd all have our coffins. We set up, and they were all covered and nice. And we had our jackets and all that. And yeah, we were getting it in. So I watched those guys. You know what I mean? I was the youngest one. I was like the youngest DJ back then in the circuit. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So, I was fortunate enough that, most of these guys saw my drive probably, and so they embraced me. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
And, I'm really blessed and appreciative of that because they didn't have to do that. You know what I mean? But they taught me, and I watched and learned. And all these DJs that I'm naming right now are actually like a part of me. Like I tell these guys every time I talk to them, when I'm traveling the world or whatever, DJing these clubs and festivals, like that's them up there too. You know what I mean?
yeah. Absolutely, the
I,
lineage, man, the
they don't
lineage.
they don't really think like that, about that until I tell them that, like really, and they just like, whoa, that's deep, but it's real. You know what I mean? I didn't get to be me just by myself in a room. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I put in a lot of practice, but I watched as well, and I learned a lot and took it to other levels. You know what I mean? Um,
yes,
So, I had those guys in Mid City Production, and then I went from that crew to another crew, which was like the biggest DJ crew, one of the biggest ones in Southern California, not just San Diego, but it was called Southern Brother and Brother Productions first, switched to Southern California Jam Company. So, uh, another shout out to DJ Goldfinger, Gennaro Crenshaw. He's the one who linked me with the owner of Southern California Jam Company, um, who who basically had a bunch of the dopest DJs too on their crew. They had DJ Cool T, DJ Magic, and they were from the West. Cool T from San Diego, Magic in San Diego. They had DJ Oz. DJ Oz was from New York, so he came in with all the New York bangers. You know what I mean? Because he got them early. Um, so these are the guys that were at Southern California Jam Company, and then there was another DJ in the South Bay of San Diego named Magic Man, and he would come and join forces with us also. And I learned a lot, from these guys. Another club DJ in San Diego named DJ Brian Foxworth, Dr. Foxworth, big club DJ. Learned a lot from him. Um, Had DJs on the radio like DJ Joe Rodriguez. Studied him. He's one of the cleanest radio DJs to do it. Short, quick mixes and just clean and cut so sharp, right?
mm-hmm.
I ended up DJing with him on another station later years later in L.A., which was one of the number one and number two stations in L.A., which 92.3 The Beat. That's crazy how we met back there in L.A. at the same station. So shout out Joe Rodriguez. You also had DJ Greyboy. You can look up DJ Greyboy. He was a big club DJ in San Diego, and he went into jazz, making jazz, but like with that hip hop background, and he became very successful. Other stories about Greyboy will come up when we talk about me entering the DMC U.S. Mixing Championships later. But shout out to Greyboy. And then I also had two other DJs that were like into more of the house music, you know what I mean, club music, which were DJ TL Spanks and Steve Pagan. So I was surrounded by dope DJs when I was coming up, and I was that young cat just soaking it all up like a sponge, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
these names, dude, all the names that I just mentioned are like why I'm who I am, you know what I mean?
That's awesome. With you talk about the uh Goldfinger, right? DJ Goldfinger, and you said he brought stuff. He came in from New York City. Did he fully relocate, or we just coming out here from time to time?
You mean Quest, the one who brought his turntables out, or
Yeah,
Gold?
who came out from New York?
Oh, that was Quest. Charles
Quest came out from New York. Okay, gotcha. Okay.
came out for the summer
So,
visit, which is
uh-huh,
military buddy, you know what I mean?
uh-huh, uh-huh.
Big DJ. You can look up
Right.
Charles Gatling on IG.
Uh,
He plays
mhm,
house. His big thing is house music.
mhm.
He's still
Gotcha.
getting doing big things. So
Right.
shout out
So,
Gatling.
okay.
And
Yeah.
I always tell him when I talk to him, I'm like, yeah, man, look what you did.
Well, the reason I asked that because I think I think you mentioned the New York part in the middle of some of the names there that you dropped recently because Quest was the first one of the first big influences there, right? When you were BMX riding, right?
Yeah.
Um, but talking about the New York records and people who would come from New York, I think I want to touch on that because like people may not realize like getting a record is not as easy as it is now for DJs.
Oh,
You just type it up in whatever and it's gonna pop up, right? Maybe you won't have that version, but you will have a version, just by doing Spotify or Apple Music or whatever, right?
yeah.
So that being said, talk about the early records. Did any of them help you get the records as well? Like, how did you know what was working on the East Coast or in a market that you weren't playing?
That was a good question. Check this out. So when Charles went back home to New Jersey, right? So I
Hmm.
created records to study that I've been listening to him mix all summer long. You know what I mean? Hearing his
Hmm.
questions. You know what I mean? I'm okay. So when he went home, he started sending me cassettes off of the radio from BLS, Mr. Magic. I still have these cassettes. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. I have so many cassettes from back in the day, and that's why I was talking about my Patreon because I'm
Hmm.
about to load all this content and have guest DJ mixtape days where I'm highlighting all these mixtapes that I have
Wow.
of DJs off the radio, big DJs, you know what I mean? But that's
Wow.
bring back. I'm a highlight. I'm a remaster and digitize all these cassettes. Um,
Wow.
that was a big influence. And then I heard these records, and then I would go to a place downtown San Diego called Tasha's. Tasha's would get those promos, you know what I mean, from New York, but you
Hmm.
know, you know what I mean, like what you were looking for. But so I would hear some of these songs and just kind of hear what they were saying on the as the hook, and hopefully that was the name of the song. You know what I mean? Other than that, I would just look at the record label. Back then I would just buy the records just because of what label or who produced it. You know what I mean? Because you could
Hmm.
see the information. So that's
Hmm.
how I had to buy records back in the day.
Hmm.
Shout out to
Yeah.
M. King. Yep, Tasha's Music City. Uh, that was the spot every Tuesdays when they got their shipments, and I was there right when they was pulling up.
Wow. See, so that brings another cool thing. Like I remember, yeah, you would buy records just because of the record label at some points. Like
Yep.
Tommy Boy comes to mind for me. It was a very distinct. kind of a cool thing. I liked Jive's logo, but like a lot
Oh,
of them,
oh,
they just, really, I think that's a really interesting, like the power of a logo and how a logo stands out, really, because that's the reason I bought records too.
yeah,
Sometimes it's like, yo, these records were dope on it. I don't know who
yeah.
this is, but I'm
That,
gonna buy it. Here's
that,
my $5,
that-
$10, or.
yeah, you just took that chance. You know what I mean? And for the most part, you got some stuff. You know what I mean? Because they were selective. It wasn't like everything was just coming out. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
everybody can release a song. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hey, so back then, if you were good at looking at the labels and then looking at who was on it, who produced stuff like that, you
Mhm.
you know, if you good chance you were going home with something good.
Nice, nice. So, let's talk about your your gear. Which DJ was the biggest influence to you as far as like continually upgrading your gear, right? I mean, as we all know now, the next light up gadget and the buttons are switched around a little bit. We are fighting the temptation to
Sure.
buy that and to ditch our controller and get the new one because it's got a V2, V3 out, right? You know what I mean? Well, back then, I think. I don't think that they replaced the units as fast as they do these days, but they did create a bunch of options for you. So they may not, upgrade the mixer each year, but there was that Vestax, and then there was that, and yeah, so each one kind of became known for its own stuff. But anyways, who was your gearhead guy to go to in your DJ career and early on?
Out of some of the names I just mentioned, the
Hmm.
two go tos when it came to gear that I looked at what they had was Cool T and DJ Gill. So, and these were two different levels. Okay, so Cool T was the one who, you know, was the 1200s. He used duct tape. He could repair anything on 1200 with duct tape. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? When it came down to cutting and all that turntable, doing all that stuff, that Cool T was the dude, right? Then Cool T got a Roland TR-909 drum machine, right?
Hmm.
Remember, I said he's the one who influenced me, to get that Akai MPC 60 and use that when DJing with a sampler. But he's
Hmm.
why I did that when he was using just a drum machine and he would program beats. You know what I mean? And he would go from records into the drum machine and then mix records back in over the drum machine. And I was just like, whoa, wait a minute. You know what I mean? So when the Akai MPC came out, my mind just said, boom. You know what I mean? I'm like, I know exactly what I'm about to do with this. And so that was Cool T on that level. And then DJ Gill was he was more into, I saw him in as well as far as production, you know what I mean, using different types of equipment and drum machines and the Lin, what is it, the Lin drum machine, the Lin drum,
Hmm. Hmm.
all that even before the Akai, you know what I mean, like,
Yeah,
watching Gil in the studios when we were working on the Vicious Beat Posse album, you know what I mean, which was the first rap group to be signed to a major label, and I was the DJ for one of the groups on the compilation. But DJ Gil produced that, so I was in the studio, all watching all the stuff that he was doing, and that helped me when I got my stuff being more into production. So those two were my go-to guys when it came to staying up on equipment.
that's awesome. That is awesome. So then let's talk about so you got your influences and stuff, right? And I love that. And maybe perhaps that um like how in the San Diego scene or in the scene that you kind of surrounded yourself with. I mean, even when I go back to the old hip hop movies, we battled, right? You know what I mean? Like we battled. So who did you have? Did you have any rivalries? I guess I want to kind of ask you. Did you have any even if it's just fun rivalries, not necessarily that you guys didn't like each other, but did you have any rivalries?
Um, I mean, I did. I had some DJs kind of call me out, uh, when I was doing my thing in that time. But I'm not just saying this to say it, but they couldn't keep up.
Hmm.
I mean, like if you ask any of these DJs will tell you, like, I went hard, dude. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, like I was the definition of a DJ going hard. You know what I mean? And you see
Yeah.
those, like I said, I was doing clubs, I was doing
Hmm.
mixtapes, big time. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
working. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know what they could say, but you know what I mean?
Right.
DJing the biggest spots, the biggest
Hmm.
clubs, the college big events. I mean, I was
Hmm.
doing everything.
Yeah.
So I didn't look at it as a competition. I was just trying to be the best DJ
Right.
be.
Right.
I'm glad I had dope DJs around me because it kept me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I had to be dope like them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so it wasn't really competition to me.
Right.
I was trying to be dope too.
Right. Okay. Nice. Nice. Okay. Cool.
Oh, we
Cool.
got somebody just said O2ROD Ultra DJs. Jam, what are your thoughts on today's EDM DJ scene?
Oh, nice. There we go. User question.
Man, I've been doing EDM. I think we talked about this a little bit, but I did my first EDM project back in 2003. That's when I started my Sin City brand. And, before that, I was DJing all over the world playing open format because when I was on the road with Snoop in the early 90s, we would be traveling the world, right? And they would have, after our concert, it would be late, right? And
Hmm.
Snoop still wanted to party and hang out, right? And so the only places that would be open would be the house clubs and EDM
Yeah.
clubs, right? And
Yeah.
everybody knows Snoop, so it didn't matter. Snoop just wanted to go party, right? It would be fun. Everybody see him. So we go to these clubs. They get us in the VIP section, popping bottles, whatever, whatever. And I'm like, take me to the DJ booth. You know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to be in the booth. So that's where it started, and I started meeting these DJs overseas in all these different countries. Listening to them playing different types of house, different types of EDM music. You know what I mean? Because it's not all just one type of music. All these different genres I'm talking about. You know,
Hmm.
I was able to key in on those types of subgenres of these, genres to gravitate to the ones that I really felt. And then
Hmm.
I started collecting this music and communicating with these DJs around the world that are keeping me up on, the big tunes that were coming out. That's where my worldwide DJ communication started, right? On that level. So I was up on the music, and like I said, I started DJing all over the world, playing everything, and it tripped them out because they just looked at me as being the DJ from Snoop and Dre, so they thought I'd be coming in playing hip hop and R&B, right? And,
Hmm.
and I remember the first time we were at one of these after parties after our concert, right? Can't remember what country we were in, but there was a huge club. The club was packed, just raging, right? I go to the DJ booth. I'm sitting to introduce me to him, and I've been doing this for a while, taking in all the different genres. And this dude was playing the subgenre that I really like, so I was really feeling it a little bit extra that night, right? So I was
Yeah.
in the booth with him, and I was just like, yeah, feeling it right along with him, like, yeah, man, this is it. All of a sudden, he turns around and he's like, "You want to get on?" Right? So, and I was just on one too. I was feeling the energy, and I'm like, "Yeah." I didn't know all the records. Like I couldn't say, "Oh yeah, give me this one, give me that one, whatever." I was just like, "Dude, feed me." You know what I
Are we
mean?
still are we still talking vinyl right now?
Yes. Where
Oh,
no Serato, way
okay.
before. So I just asked him to feed me the dopeness. I like what you're doing. Keep feeding me, and that's how I started getting on, dude. Because to me, when I was watching all these guys DJ, they would do a lot of long blends. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like 64 bar blends. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm. Hmm.
Eight, like a hip hop DJ would do. But it was all about transitions and knowing
Right.
transitions happen. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
It was much more than just keeping it on beat. You had to
Yeah.
know. So when I got on, I could kind of know when bars, every 16 bars, it's a transition. You transient, something happens.
Hmm.
And I would start cutting like I was
Hmm.
hip hop almost. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Beginnings, in doing doubles, and especially if there were words, you know what I mean? And bringing back words or whatever. And that, I remember when I started doing that, they started tripping out. Like people were coming around the DJ booth were like, this is Snoop's DJ and Dre's DJ getting down in a house EDM club. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so after I did that, that's when I was like, you know what? Let me go ahead and do this for real and bring this out. And that's in 2003. That's the start of my Sin City brand. And it has two different versions. I do a dubstep trap version, bass music version, and then I do a house electro Jersey club version, right? So
Mhm.
if you guys don't know, I just released the dubstep version last month, and next month the house EDM Jersey club version will be released with the storyline inside of the mix. This was the one that I just released, was the first one of its kind that I did that actually has a story. So it's like a soap opera that continues to every volume that I do in the future with characters, creating characters and storylines and everything. So it's crazy.
Cinematic mixtape,
Yes.
breaking new
Bring
ground.
all my mixtapes to life. So now you're watching it, not just listening to it, because it's a visual world in today's land. You know what I mean?
Yes, yes, absolutely. So now we kind of got a great question. So if anyone else has questions, please throw them in the little question
Oh,
box area.
yeah, but even to end that, on the EDM scene, because I just talked about how I started with it, but since then EDM has evolved. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Into even more subgenres now.
Hmm.
I noticed that, and so just like most anything, right? It starts one way, and then all of a sudden it develops branches, right? And love what I'm hearing, these different subgenres, because I come from hip hop. So when you hear my Sin City projects, you're gonna feel that. You know what I mean? Because how I bring it when I get into that EDM world is I go hard. The beats are hard, like and you can tell that. Oh yeah, this dude. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Hmm.
Background. So very soulful, hip hop, edgy beats. Whether if it's dubstep or it's house. You know,
Hmm.
uh, for example, shout out to DJ Scratch. DJ Scratch just released. He's released two songs this year, or one last year, but they're house, right? So he just released a song called "Go" featuring Q-Tip. I think Q-Tip might have produced it with him as well, but he samples Q-Tip like saying "Go" like three different octaves, and he samples Tribe Called Quest on a house tempo. This is what I'm talking about. This, when you hear this, or you just Google that song, trust me. And he's about to release a whole project, so he's on the same lane that I'm on when it comes to this. You know what I mean? I'm doing it a little bit different, and he's on that lane as well. So shout out to him. Also, shout out to T Pain. T Pain has his base camp movement going on right now, and that he's on the same thing we are, all three of us. You know what I mean? Doing
Yeah,
EDM versions of our soulfulness. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
you can hear it. So shout out T Pain as well. Shout out to Shaq. I know Shaq is traveling around with him doing shows. Shaq's got that EDM behind him as well. So hopefully I'll be on stage with them as well soon.
Absolutely. That'd be so sick. So let's see. Talking about the DJs and the DJs that influenced you. Did a DJ help you go to LA radio, or did you do that on your own? Like, did
Um,
were you, yeah.
Years later, I moved to Los Angeles. I transferred colleges to Cal State Dominguez Hills. That's where I was studying music major, with an emphasis of audio engineering. They had recording, well, they still have recording studios there. So I went there because I wanted to be like an audio engineer for working in studios or whatever. Um, so so that your whole question though, you were saying.
Yeah, the did you have a DJ help you get to the LA radio, or was it just
Oh,
on your
so,
own?
so while I was in school up there, I was I started in my last conversation, I was talking about me doing a club called Jamaica House, right? That's when I was in school in college in San Diego, when they bought Jamaica House to San Diego. And then they asked me to start doing their Jamaica House in LA. So I started back and forth every week, once a week to do theirs and then come to San Diego to do it. But then I transferred to Cal State Dominguez Hills. So I was right there in LA still doing Jamaica House. And then that turned into me doing like 6 of the premier clubs in Los Angeles, right? My name got around really quick. And then that's when I was approached by another DJ who was at the radio station they had just switched formats and started playing hip hop. They were like a pop station or something, or rock. They switched formats, and then this DJ was kind of like the guy who was doing the mix show, but then they need more music and more, so he brought in a couple of other DJs, and I was one of them, brought in, and they really liked what I was doing, the radio station, so they kept me there, and one thing led to another. I got more time. I developed my radio shows. I was putting that on at different times. That later on became, they hired me on as the music/mix show coordinator at the station. And that title was invented for me. There was no such thing as a mix show coordinator back then. But I had an ear of music because I would go to the station and be like, "Hey, man," and I didn't know any of the politics. They brought me because I was in all the clubs, playing heat, so they knew I knew what people, wanted because I was rocking all the spots, right? So I know what the politics were in the radio, so I would just go to them, and after a while, when I kind of got comfortable and what I was doing, I started going to them like, "Hey, man, I think we should be playing this record right here. This is hot, right?" And they were like, "Okay," And back then in radio, like they actually let the DJ be a DJ. You know what I mean? Shout out, you know what I mean? Like Michelle S. from 92.3 The Beat. Shout out to Mizza, Damian Young for Power 106. You know what I mean? They had DJs there, and they didn't just tell the DJs what to do. You know what I mean? They said, "Hey guys, what should we be doing? What should we be playing?" Right? That's how you win. They don't do that really too much anymore. you know? So that's kind of like the whole thing there. So that turned into me when I said, "Hey, we should be playing this," and they put it on because they trusted me, and then it would go top 5, right? I did, I don't know, 4 times, 5 times in a row. Like that 5th time, I said, "We should be playing this," and went like number 1. They're like, "Oh, okay, yeah, all right. We're gonna make this position for you. We're gonna call it music/mix show coordinator." You know what I mean? So you're gonna help music. You're gonna talk music. You're gonna meet with the record company, the labels that on music. We do music meeting on Mondays where they all come in, each label, record label, to kind of pitch all the songs to us of what they think we should be playing, right? I was the dude, like one of the 2 people at the station where they had to come in and say yes or no. You know? So I got that trust in them to do that. And then I kind of, back then the mix shows weren't talking to each other really. They were just like turning in their mixes or coming into the station and doing their mixes and they'd leave. But nobody kind of knew really what each other's shows were playing. And we had the show, the Wake Up Show. You know what I mean? Shout out Sway and King Tech. We had a dope crew at the station in LA. Shout out 92.3 The Beat. But Sway and King Tech, Michelle S. brought them down from the Bay. And so I would, when I came in, I got playlists from everybody, right? And showed everybody's playlist so they can see, oh, they're playing this song, you know what I mean? And kind of other DJs can, try different songs, on their shows, you know what I mean? So everybody can kind of see what was going on. And that really helped a lot. So, yeah. And then next thing I know, I was traveling around to these radio conventions, sitting on these panels, because eventually our ratings, like I said, we were switched formats, and the other station was always the number 1 station. But then we eventually did that. After I got my position, I was part of that team, and we did this, and they wanted to know what happened and how we did that. So that's what I was talking about. They were like, "Jam, what's a music/mix show coordinator? What are you doing over there? What's going on at the beat," type of thing. And kind of after that and talking about that, I would help record companies and listening to music and be their other A&R, you know what I mean, to their art
Yeah.
projects that they were producing and about to put out, but they didn't know which singles or which ones should even be on the album, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So that turned into a lot of different things.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So then, let's talk about the let's talk about some of the DJs that you. I guess let's talk about some of the DJs that were also on tour. Who are some of the coolest tour DJs that you met when you guys were traveling? Like, you know, you're on the road with Snoop and stuff, so there's got to be other camps that were performing with you guys if you had shows that brought in, you know, different people from different labels. So who were some of the ones that you would look forward to seeing? You know, you're like, oh, hey, we got this show with, you know, XYZ and they have good DJs, you know, too. So I vibe with them. So who were some of those road DJs that you kind of liked?
Man, there was so many, man. You know, most of the DJs I met were always cool. Um, you know, yeah, there's so many stories, but I'll start off with the first one because this set the tone. I'll never forget this. Rest in peace too to this person. I'll never forget. It was our first Chronic tour after G Thang and all that came out, right? And on the bill was us, Onyx, Boss, and Run DMC, right? And I think
Hmm.
might have been on it too, right? So I was just like, whoa, Run DMC. I'm in same concert, you know what I mean? It's Run DMC, right? And so when we got to it was like the first day of the tour, you know, we were sound checking or whatever, and we got like the show times, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And we were the headliner. We went on before Run DMC. I mean, we went on after Run DMC. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That kind of threw me for, you know what I mean? I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Like, this is Run DMC. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. It's got to trip you out.
I grew up, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, as that biggest fan, you know, hip hop fan, Run DMC, are you kidding me? Jam Master Jay, all these guys. So that really, I didn't know how to feel about that. You know, even though I was part of the group that just came out with G Thing, and that was dope. But this was Run DMC. But anyway, get to the chase. So everybody had sound check. We got on stage to sound check. We were last. I was up there messing with the turntables before everybody came out. You know what I mean? Just to make sure
Yeah.
everything was working right. All of a sudden, I felt a tap on my shoulder, and it was Jam Master Jay, right? And I was just like, whoa, you know,
Wow.
I'm just a young DJ, you know what I mean? And he introduces himself to me, and he's like, yeah, man. He's talking. He's like, I see you warming up, whatever. He's like, is this your first? He asked me, is this your first big tour like this? And I go, yeah. You know, we've done a couple shows here and there, but like this is the first tour I've been on like this, right? And
Yeah.
he was watching me for a minute. You know, I was probably doing doubles or whatever for a minute at first before he came up. And he goes, man, he's like, man, don't even worry about it. Like when you're up there, you know, just imagine basically saying when you're up there, man, like don't even trip off the audience. Like pretend it's just a blur, right? Like
Hmm.
it's just a blur. You're not going to see in and zone in on anybody. It's a blur. And just pretend you're in your bedroom, right?
Yeah.
And he told me that. I'm like, okay. And then when it was time to hit that stage, and I went up there, and all
Hmm.
them people right that's the only thing I could think of. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that was back when before Serato. That was
Yeah.
that was back when the needle really jumped.
Hmm. Hmm.
So yeah, that and then right when that happened, dude, somebody took a picture of us, and I still have that picture.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
moment.
Gotta scan that and put that up here. That'd be great to see.
Yeah.
Wow. So, wow, that's amazing. So that sounds like, granted, you know, you've immensely talented your whole career. Was that the first time that you ever had, I guess you could say, imposter syndrome, because that's something that a lot of people fight when you are, you're doing your thing, but then now you're in the room of these people that are, your peers, but like you feel like, holy shit, like I don't know if I'm your peer. I'm,
Yeah,
I'm just me, right? That's how you feel. But like,
that
is that your first time?
and that was so crazy to me too, man, because meeting the DJs from these other groups, especially back then, these were groups that I was growing up to. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Hmm.
And like when I would meet these DJs, it was like they were meeting somebody just as big as them. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And giving me that respect. Once again, I was just like, whoa, I didn't know how to take that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Dude, I'm looking up to you. You know what I mean? Like, but they were just so cool to me. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
anything, whatever I needed, contact, whatever. Go out, party, after party. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hey, DJ the after parties together. Which I did on some of the after parties. They would, that's a whole nother, I guess, uh, night when we're talking about the after party
Yeah.
tour and doing stuff like that because that.
Hmm.
But I'll be rocking after parties with a lot of these DJs from
Hmm.
artists. You know what I mean? And then we've got communication still to this day. We still
Yeah.
go up and follow each other at some clubs around the world. You know what I mean? Hey man, I
Yeah.
was at such and such. Oh man, yeah, I was there 5 months ago. Or you know what I mean? We have things
Hmm.
to talk about. So yeah, it's a dope DJ community, man, and I just appreciate all the love that I've gotten, and not just from other artists, DJs from other artists. You know what I mean, around the country, but when I went into Los Angeles, you know what I mean, like I stepped in to you know what I mean, a lake full of just sharks when it came to
Yeah.
deep. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they could have looked like that at me. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But they all showed me love. You know what I mean? And
Hmm.
even from the crew, Snoop and Dre, everybody taking me in. They didn't have to do that. They
Right.
could have on their homeboy and had their homie be their DJ. Even if they
Hmm.
didn't know how to DJ, they'd be like, "Man, you're gonna learn now. We about to get this equipment for you." You know what I mean?
Hmm. Yeah.
They could have done that. So
Yeah.
for them to outreach, their arms to bring me in and treat me like family. Once I moved to LA, man, I I don't, I can't, I don't know. There's no excuse. I can't. I'm
Yeah.
grateful, you know what I mean, to be in that position for what they've done for me. You know, I'm
That's awesome.
I'm able to travel around the world to this day because of what they did for me. You know what I mean, and
Hmm.
exposing me to the world.
Yeah. That's amazing. Thanks for sharing that. And so when we are continuing our talk about DJ, do you have any? Because I can't see the chat button. Is there any more questions? I just want to make sure if anybody's
Oh,
asking.
we just got some shout outs. Arash B1, what's up? That's the homie from LA. He knows what it is. Dr. Sean B, yep. This is dope. Doc Holiday is in here. Yes, sir. Nickelbus.
Oh.
DJ Darkside, he said, I started experimenting with the EDM. He's like, I need more tracks. I can help you with that Dark Side. If you need more tracks, I can help you show you where to get them. Jabba One, what's up? Hanson Tinam, what's up? Sorry if I'm misspelling, mentioning DJ Ascension, what's up? Oswaldo Jew, what's up? DJ Himitsu, what's up? Callie Kane, what's up? Soleto 45, what's up? I think I got,
Nice.
yeah.
Nice. Nice. All right. Awesome. So,
Yeah, a lot of
uh,
people I just mentioned saw what I was just talking about, saw that
nice.
what I was doing. They were there, so shout out to them.
That's awesome. I love that. So one thing I'll touch on before I get before we run out of time here, because it looks like we're already almost at an hour. Can you believe that?
Yeah,
But is the communication is a lot easier now, right? You're one button away from DMing somebody and potentially, making a good connection and stuff, right? But staying in touch with people is easier than ever. is would you say that that makes it worse for communication or better? Because how did you keep in touch with everybody back then? If you got like Jam Master Jay's contact and all these people that you would meet on these arena tours, right? Are you just emailing back and forth? Are you guys old school telephone calling? And then again, you don't have your landline with you on tour. So how did you communicate with them back in the day versus now?
You know what was the biggest thing? The
Oh,
Sky. Remember pagers and pagers were the big thing, right? So we had our cell phones to call back. Um, so it was the pagers, but then in the prime of it, it was the SkyTel pagers. You know what I mean? They had the ringtones and all that. During that era, all the DJs, artists, we all communicated on that, man. Before we started doing the email thing.
dude, I had it was Nextel, right? Was it Nextel,
Yep.
Skytel,
I
Nextel?
think
They're
that
blue. They were blue. They flipped
SkyTel.
up. Hmm. Yeah, I had one because I love technology, but I'm in Southern Indiana, so I one person that I knew had one. I felt like an idiot because all I could do, he's like the only dude I could message. But I
Oh,
just like tech, you know what I mean? I like tech, but I'm like out here on this island because
man,
I'm just a little dude, but
I remember we got like stuff on tour because we met people on tour, right? All
yeah.
imagine the things like that were brought to us that were like, hey, you guys check this out. This is cool. You guys want one, right?
Ah, yeah.
Like on several occasions, there were different people getting off those skytails. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Hmm.
For cheap, you know what I mean? For the low.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, man, come and hook up with our tour bus. Bring them for everybody. They bring a big box so we all get these skytails. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Back then, but yeah, that was a big thing back then. Communication.
Skytel. Nice. That would be a great photo memory when I look that up after this call. But yeah, that's awesome. Wow. Anything else on DJ influences and early DJ influences that you wanted to touch on that we haven't touched on already?
Um, no, I mean I touched on like the main ones that were first. That when I first started DJing, that
Mm-hmm.
was core of my come up.
Mm-hmm.
That's created my mold, basically, as you can say, my blueprint of what. Then I just took it and added my stuff to it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had the few DJs so that I could watch on TV. You know what I mean? Was just a handful back then. The Jam Master J's, the Grandmaster D from Houdini, DJ Scratch. Oh, hold on, and another thing before we get off this, when it comes to DJ routines, and that'll probably be on another conversation. But and when we talk about DJ and doing routines and battle DJs,
Mm-hmm.
because I was in the DMC back in '88, so we'll get on that. But DJ Scratch is something different. He's from another planet when it comes to tricks and stuff like that. So he was a big influence of mine coming up as far as being a battle DJ and doing tricks. And there's a
Nice.
big story behind that too, which I'll tell on another date. But DJ
Oh man.
Scratch
Believe it.
represent salute.
Nice, nice. Well, I'm looking forward to that day. So I'm really happy that we get to do these streams. Go ahead and see if we have any extra questions now or anything that popped in before we jump off here, and then also tell people about what you have going on and why they should sign up to Patreon, and stuff.
Well, yeah, we got a couple more people in. DJ EDMU, Edmu, maybe. I don't know. EDMU, shout out. He's like, is this the DJ Jam? Yes, it is.
Hey,
Not the only one, but the one. um, DJ Jam DPG, I'm the only one of those. And then Trina JC23, shout out there in the house as well. And yeah, those of you who don't know, I do have a Patreon. That's where all my content is going now. I'm starting to build my own community. If you're not on Patreon, take a second, click on my Giganomics link in my bio on any of my social networks, and find that Patreon sign up button. Click that, enter your email, and then go to the App Store and download the Patreon app so that whenever I do something, if I release a project, if I go live doing this, whatever, you're going to get that message right to your phone. You don't have to wait for an algorithm, you know what I mean? And hopefully you'll get it, which you probably won't on the algorithm, you know what I mean? You're not tied down. So be part of my community. You're going to get some straight to you. You're going to see exclusive content. You're going to be able to get content before the rest of the public does as well. And man, join. I'm about to start uploading content that dates all the way back to like the early 80s when I was talking about those tapes off the radio in New York with Mr. Magic and my first mixtapes I've ever done. I'm going all the way back, remastering everything. So come in, be part of my community, and see what I do. I'm about to start going live on Twitch and Patreon, like Sunday through Thursday, Sunday evening, and then Monday through Thursday, probably around 4 to 7 p.m. Right on that when you get off work. I'm gonna be going in, and every day is gonna be doing. I'm gonna do something different musically. So stay tuned for that.
Awesome. Well, it's been a fun episode, fun talk today, and I'm really enjoying these. These are cool. It's just as fulfilling for me to learn about you as well, and as it is for the rest of everybody watching and listening and chatting with us in the chat. So, thank you, Jam. I think we hit our hour. If you're wanting to cut it, we can cut it.
Yeah, yeah. One last thing too. Um, like I said, check out my Patreon. Sign up, get in there, and watch all of the live versions of all 4 of my projects. Right, starting with Midnight Grooves, then watch the Hotspot, then watch W Balls, then watch Sin City. And when you get to Sin City, you're gonna see a story in the mix for the first time. So that was your homework.
Nice cinematic mixes. Check them out. And thanks, Jam. Appreciate you having me.
Thank you, and thank everybody for coming in. And I don't know if we'll be back next week, man. We got so many topics. We might have to go every week, but we'll either be back next Monday or the Monday after. We'll see. We'll
Let
see.
us know in below. Type.
We should go do this every Monday. Just put it in the chat. Let us know, and we might take your advice.
Yeah. Are we weekly or bi-weekly?
Yeah, weekly or bi-weekly. We want to know that, and we'll keep this thing going. We got so many topics to cover. It's crazy. So once again, this is called the industry turntable because things go round and round and round. Right.
That's right. We'll catch you next time.
All right. Peace, everybody.